what work is the king doing in the world, or what standards does the king have that are being broken in the world? Let me give you an example about one you talked about earlier, immigration, right?
Yeah.
Immigration is a hard one. I've been thinking about immigration throughout, for a long time, and I'm stuck between a catch-22. And let me give it to you. Let me give you how I'm working through it on a kingdom concept. On one end, somebody who enters a country illegally cannot be mad that they took a risk and a chance and they ended up getting deported.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, there are a lot of us who are believers who are saying, oh, I don't mind. We're taking the political note of what people are saying out here. And we're saying, I don't mind if you deport all the criminals, but the people who are working or just trying to have a life here, you shouldn't deport them like that. And I'm challenged by that also, because now we have to talk about what God believes about illegality. Either the rules that were set to call this illegal are wrong and we have to go through the process to reverse them, or those who are breaking the rules are wrong and we have to do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't solve any of those problems, here's where I sit in the middle. How we deport people matters to God.
Mm-hmm.
How we admit people matters to God, right? How we do things matters to God just as much as us doing them. And why we do them matters to God. So when
Yeah.
we're thinking about major global movements and issues that are going on right now, what are some of the ones that you think the church should be prepared to engage with?
Yeah. Let me talk about the let me respond to the situation with Trump deporting illegal immigrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thought that comes to my mind is, one, like we talked about already, we got to move from the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And one exercise that I do, and I've been doing it for a long time, is I try to zoom all the way out.
That's right.
A lot of times people try to respond from within a category or a construct that already exists. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't do that, right? So let's just say, okay, these people got in illegally. So
Mm-hmm.
are they breaking laws? But then my mind goes to there's a prostitute that in the time period Jesus, the men and the leaders were trying to stone, and Jesus shows up. And there's a couple illustrations of similar stories where he just writes in the sand and everybody just walks off. One, he says, let he who cast the first, let he who has no sin cast the first stone. And it creates this weird dynamic where it's like, well, Jesus, do laws not matter to you then? Right? Because they acting on your behalf. And what Jesus is showing is, one, I'm here to show you how none of us have been able to keep the law. And what Jesus cares about is the transformation of our hearts. And the way he makes that happen is by giving us grace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if let's say this is the kingdom, let's say the kingdom exists already and these people sneak in, what will be the kingdom approach to this?
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to sit down with these immigrants and talk to them? Come up with, see what was going on? You know, understand their background, do some investigation.
Yeah.
Are you able to make them legal citizens based on what's going on and extend them grace and develop them to be members of your country or your nation in a particular way? Are there other options? That's essentially what I'm trying to say. Are there other options that come up when you think kingdom first? All these people aren't bad. Some of these people were trying to get away from some harmful situations, some detrimental stuff. And some of the people were trying to save their lives, trying to save the
Right.
lives of their family.
No.
And
Yeah,
I
I get you.
I think that there's other ways to move based on the idea of extending grace, being
Yes.
kind, being loving. And I think that that's what's absent oftentimes when people are discussing these issues, and it's because they're coming from the standpoint of what already exists in America. Forget what already exists in America. Let's start from the kingdom first, though.
Right. Yeah. So you have a great point. You make two great points. And this is how we have to start thinking as kingdom citizens. Number one, God does have immigration policies all throughout the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
And the immigration policies that God has look nothing like ours.
Right. Yeah.
If I was just to mention a couple, Exodus 23:9, you shall not oppress. So what we call immigrants or, aliens in that harsh kind of way, God calls them sojourners in the scripture.
Yeah.
You shall not oppress a sojourner. You know the heart of a sojourner, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Right. And so God's golden rule, and he goes, we can go through Leviticus 19:34. You shall treat the stranger who sojourns with you as the native among you, and you
Right,
shall
right, right.
love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am your
Exactly.
Lord.
Exactly.
And so Leviticus 25:23, the land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine, for you are strangers and sojourners with me, like we are when it comes to. So
Yeah.
one of the go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was gonna say, and not to mention that a lot of this is just about American supremacy, which is just white supremacy with a different name, for real.
That's
But
all it is, Doc.
yeah, I mean,
That's all
so,
it is.
but go ahead.
So
Though. What
you
were you about
bring
to say?
up great points that even in you and I having this conversation, you're saying, Darren, you're thinking one level too low. I need you to think one level higher.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I need you to understand that, yep, we see these laws in America are happening, but what is God's kingdom process? What is God's immigration policy? And
Mm-hmm.
God's immigration policy is you should look out for all of those who are sojourners, because you know what? You were once one.
Yeah.
And look what I did for you. And here's not a bigger one, but here's another argument. And I hear people say this a lot, and we really need to start thinking about our ethics and our morals. Nobody can be immigrants on stolen land.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And not only this land doesn't belong to us, this land belongs to God.